Brilliance Audio presents Far and Away, a collection by Fern Michaels. This collection includes Hideaway, Spirited Away, and Getaway, performed by Laurel Merlington.
Sophie jerked upright in bed, stunned. Her heart drummed against her chest, sweat dampened her forehead, and the back of her neck was slick with perspiration. Unsure whether she had just experienced a vision by way of a dream, she reached for the lamp on the bedside table. Turning it on, she could see that she was safe in the master bedroom, with Goebel snoring contentedly beside her. They'd celebrated their first wedding anniversary that evening. Poor Goebel. He rarely drank, and had imbibed one too many celebratory glasses of champagne. Not wanting to wake him, she grabbed her robe from the bedpost and tiptoed out of the room, not bothering to turn out the light. She knew that Goebel wouldn't hear her. His soft snores were comforting as Sophie crept out of their room and headed downstairs. She didn't even want to begin to analyze her dream, or rather her vision, until she'd had a cigarette. As usual, Goebel had been after her to quit, and, as usual, she said she would think about it. Downstairs in their newly renovated kitchen, Sophie found her cigarettes and lighter on the counter by the back door. Just like at Toots's house, she thought, except she didn't have a coffee can full of sand in which to stub out her cigarettes. She'd actually bought one of those ashtrays used in public places, the kind where you dropped the cigarette in a small hole, and it went out as soon as it began to suffer from oxygen deprivation. Sophie stepped outside on the screened-in veranda, into air almost oppressively thick with humidity. Goebel's bubblegum tree filled the air with its sweet scent. Birds chirped, and the occasional croak of a frog could be heard. All the ordinary night noises that were normally soothing. But after what she had just experienced, Sophie found them annoying. She stepped outside, where she had a lounge chair and table for this very purpose. She lit her cigarette and took several drags, letting the nicotine's calming effect settle her nerves. She thought about the dream or vision she'd had. The woman in her dream had been dressed in clothes from the early 1920s, before the flappers but after the drab style of the World War I era. And she had been excited, then all at once frightened. Sophie felt the woman's fear again. She closed her eyes and focused, something that was becoming easier with time. Last year, Sophie had developed a new psychic skill: clairsentience. By touch, she was able to see through the eyes of another, to feel what they were feeling in real time. She returned her focus to the woman in the dream. Her dress was scarlet, made of the finest silk. Sophie saw a bolt of cloth on a ship, which startled her. "That wasn't a dream," she said out loud. Knowing this, she lay back against the recliner's plump cushions, closing her eyes and trying earnestly to decipher the images imprinted on her mind. Taking several deep breaths, Sophie could feel herself relax, the way she did right before she fell into a trance. Unlike a trance, however, she was very much aware of the woman, her fears, and her physical pain. She'd been celebrating. Sophie knew this as she felt the woman's anticipation. Focusing on the emotions coursing through the woman, Sophie again felt the woman's fright when it rekindled the same fear in Sophie that had awoken her from a sound sleep. The first trickle of apprehension coursed through her. The woman, as Sophie's external self would refer to her. A tinge of alarm was replaced by an icy-cold fear that permeated the woman as she called out a name. Sophie homed in on the words that only she could hear. "Theodore?" Anxious, Sophie concentrated on the name, hoping that her perceptiveness would lead her to find the meaning behind the woman's fear as she spoke the man's name. Again, centering every ounce of her psychic abilities on the emotions felt by this woman, she experienced a stabbing fear so great she felt panicky. Acknowledging her gift, yet sometimes unsure of her own power, Sophie felt the force of the woman's complete and utter fear spread through her nervous system like an electrical jolt. Leaning forward in the chaise lounge, Sophie catapulted from her visions of another's past and became instantly aware of her present surroundings. She was sitting in the backyard, her pack of cigarettes lying on the small table beside her,